This right here is Carcone Carne. I'm James Van Ossel, and this podcast exists because of sponsorships, the support and partnership of local Chicago area businesses. And the show for this episode is sponsored by Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. A truly smart home, bar, restaurant, intelligent office, etc., is never a one-size-fits-all proposition. Your Easy Automation Pro will meet with you to determine your needs and then customize the system for you. From the family room, bar to the boardroom, it's under control. Get a quote by visiting easy-automation.net or call 630-730-3728, 630-730-3728. And my guest for this episode is Graham Bonnet, a man whose voice is a singular force in rock and roll. You can hear the power and muscle in his singing through his time in Rainbow, Alcatrazz, MSG, and so many other bands. Most recently, he put out what is an age-defying hard rock monster, Day Out in Nowhere. It's an album that checks all the boxes for fans of his work, to say nothing of rock fans in general. Graham Bonnet Band will be at the Arcada in St. Charles on June 17th, and Graham joined me right before the tour started to talk about all the things. I've got to say, right out of the gate, Graham, my God, you look good.
Oh, get out of here. I'm just going to Japan, later. And I just had my visa thing taken, a photograph. And I said to Bethany, fucking hell, I don't just look like my dad, I look like my granddad now.
Oh, no, stop. Well, I'm referencing.
I look like my dad, which I do. I look very much like my dad. Hello, baby. And anyway, I look like my granddad, who was a handsome man.
No doubt. I'm sure you have strong genes. So I'm referencing Imposter from Day Out in Nowhere, the album that you put out last year. And
Yeah.
when I first listened through the album, as the song started, I thought, oh yeah, Graham Bonnet's definitely not mellowing with age. And then I listened to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, age is just a number. I mean, it is. I was listening to a song about aging as I had that thought.
Yeah.
This is basically a song, you taking inventory of where you've been and where you are, and what's next.
Exactly. If you've seen the video, have you seen the video?
I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking in the mirror, and this young guy came along. He played me. It was kind of cool. He was much taller than me, though. He's about 6 foot something. But I mean, he did a great job. He copied all my movements and stuff, and he was really good the way he sort of mimicked my my posture and everything. And not that it's on there very much, but it is about getting old. Look in the mirror, you go, who the fuck is that? That's not me. They're not my hands. I remember looking down at my hands, seeing age spots and going, nah, can't be. But I look down at my hands now and I say, they're my dad's strong hands, and I'm very proud to look like my dad. My dad, Louis Bonnet. He died when he was 92, unfortunately, and but I do look like him, and I've got to live with that. I've got grey hair, so I was always dyeing my hair dark, but it went grey, so I'm keeping it grey. That's my name, Graham.
Exactly. And I want to jump back into that album. But first, I generally hate opening up an interview talking about the big hit, but I did just see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and there it was, larger than life, Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah.
That song, the Rainbow version of the song, it's going to outlive all of us.
I know. I mean, that song, I've got to love it even more. Every time you play it, the audience, come alive. They all sing it, So thanks to Russ Ballard writing a great song, which was recorded about, 6 other times before we did it. We changed it a little bit to make it a little bit more rock, so to speak. Richie, his guitar and whatever else, Roger and Cozy, of course. Cozy fucking hated it. But he gave it hell, and that song has turned out really well. And to see it's been in the promos for the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think that's really incredible. I'm very impressed, and I'm very, very proud of that.
That's awesome. And like I said, it'll outlive all of us. I mean, we'll all be long gone. Earth will be a wasteland. And all that'll be left will be cockroaches looking at one another saying, I get the same old dream, same time every night. It's just going to carry on. Long pants.
Singing cockroaches. Now there's a thought.
So we'll jump back to Rainbow, jumping back in to Day Out in Nowhere. The album kind of hits all the notes and checks all the boxes that we fans want. Tell me what this album means to you and where it finds you as a singer and a songwriter in your 70s.
Yeah. Well, Bethany, my dear girlfriend, Bethany Sevenstone, my bass player as well. She's in the band. What can I say? So she said to me, I was going in a different direction. I wanted to do something on my own. And she said, why don't we get together with Conrad Pesanado, who was our first guitar player when we started playing together years ago, 10 years ago now. And she said, why don't we get Conrad, and I'll play bass, of course, and I'll sing, so we put this thing together, and it's really good. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
Where does this album find you as a songwriter, as a singer? I mean, as a man in his 70s who's still rocking considerably hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. People always ask me, how the hell do you get that? Where does that voice come from? Because I'm not very big. I'm 5'9" now. It's.
Are you shrinking?
Yeah. I used to be 5'10" and a bit, but I had an operation on my back, my spine, and I've shrunk, and which is very scary. I don't want to get any shorter. I'll be disappearing, But this album means a lot to me because it really brought us together again. Conrad, Bethany, and me. We're the main guys in the band, and it was fun to make. And Conrad's really got his act together with with recording, and I got a really good microphone for my voice, which I've never had. So it picked up every nuance of my voice, which is sometimes from here, sometimes from the from the belly, and sometimes from here. It just sounds like me for a change. Over the years, I've been in the studio and we'd start recording, and the engineer would come down and put like 3 microphones in front of me and say, sing on that one first. Okay. So I sang, no, not that one. I'd sing on this one. There were like 3 or 4 microphones that didn't really get what I was doing. I said, what, that doesn't sound like me. When I go into the into the control room, I'd say, that doesn't sound like me. I say, listen, and they say, no, it doesn't sound like you. Where's the power? Where's the power? And I think this microphone we're using, I don't know what it is, but it's a really good mic. It's a Shure microphone, I think. And it's just brought out that tone, that chest sound and everything else. And also, Conrad and Bethany have done a great job playing on this. Really, really interesting parts. Conrad is a really good arranger of songs. He puts them together, and then I say, no, let's cut this bit out or this bit. And the two of them have done a great job. I'm very proud of them, and it's brought me to life again. I really thought I should do something on my own, but I don't want to be Engelbert Humperdinck. I don't. Or Tom Jones, who is my favorite singer. I love Tom Jones.
Oh, sure.
God, Jesus Christ. That's a voice,
Yeah, what's not to love?
Oh, man, he's the best. The best. I want to be him, but I'm not. So I never will. It's the album. I try to write the songs, have a different subject for every song. Something that's kind of interesting, or will grab you, or is funny. I think so-called heavy metal it's lost its sense of humor. And I have that. And people often say to me, they used to say to me years ago, why don't you write something that people can understand? About the devil and all this stuff. I said, it's fiction. It's fairy tales. You want me to write about Jack and the Beanstalk or something? I can't do that. I want to write something that's real. So what I've written on this album, I always ask the other guys, what do you think? What do you think? Is this a good idea? Bethany say, no, don't do that. But I've never had that. They always said, yeah, that's a good idea. I wrote about the There's a song called David's Mum, for instance. Now, that doesn't sound very, very heavy metal at all, does it? But it's about my experience as a young boy, being 7 years old and having the first sexual experience without having sex, And David's Mum is about her getting dressed, basically.
So that's your pictures of Lily moment.
Yeah, it is. Yes, exactly. And I remember she came into the room. I called on David, that's why it's called David's Mum, to go downtown. And his mum shouted out, I'll take you in the car. Oh, okay. And so she comes into the room over a chair, silk stockings hanging there by the fire. And she comes into the room, and I'm sitting there waiting for David and to get together. And she starts putting on these stockings, and I'm looking, and I'm going, why am I feeling weird? And she's clipping them up, the whole thing. They were black stuff. I'd never forget this. Never. Because I was excited, but I didn't know why.
And then, of course, 20 years later, you're singing about black stockings and a see-through dress and all night long.
Yeah, exactly. But this wasn't a see-through dress. She was a very smart woman. She was great. She just died about 2 years ago, David's mom. But she had this great hairdo, really nice black hair she had. She was very slim and beautiful. I loved her in a weird way, David's mom. But that's a thing that I think a lot of so-called heavy metal writers wouldn't touch. No, what's that? David's mum? It's kind of a funny thing. It's kind of humorous, but at the same time, it's very serious.
Yeah, I write what you know.
About the polar bear. It's another thing. Polar bear, it's not... I can't think of any titles of any song, like Lick It Up or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. It's grown-up stuff.
Well, the title track, again, the album Day Out of Nowhere, this is a big, catchy, single-worthy song. Yeah. Where's that come from?
That was Day Out of Nowhere. Was when we were in Russia. We were driving to a city, and all of a sudden, I was looking out the window and watching all the wildlife, as I always do, bored to death. Looking out the window, and I'm going, what's happened here? There are no birds in the sky. And where's all the dogs and cows and whatever? But there was about, I guess, about 5 or 6 miles of nothing. There was nothing really growing. There was no animals in the fields, no horses, no dogs barking. And it was just nothing in the air. There were no birds. Because I looked up, what's happening here? Now, I'm not sure what the farmland was all about, but sometimes I think they put down some kind of gas or electricity into the ground to keep all the, what do you call them? The people that come and eat the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thingies. And not predators, but just people, foxes and dogs and whatever else would come and eat the plants, the crops. So I think that's what it was, but it was so weird to look in the sky and see no birds. Anyway, we started approaching the city, and I said to the guys, look in the sky, there's nothing right now. But I said, when we get near to the city, you watch, there'll be wildlife again. And there was. I think we were going to, where were we going? I can't, but it was a city anyway, in Russia. And all of a sudden, everything was like normal. And
like a switch got turned on.
Yeah, it was really strange, really strange. So I don't know what it was really, but it was a day out of nowhere. It's like, where is everything? Where's the birds? Where's the, where is everything? Where's the life? It was odd. So that's what it was. That's the inspiration for that tune.
So the album, as I said, this is an album that rocks. It's relentless, hard rock. The last song on it is an outlier, the song Susie, which has a symphonic.
Yeah. That's, yes, it was something that Bethany suggested. Why don't you write a song for Susie? She was our friend. And she died. And this is for her, to say hello to her. And I said, well, we can't do it, one of those things. It's got to be kind of serious. And I wrote the song, and when I wrote it, I wrote the whole verses up an octave. And Conrad said to me, "Why don't you sing the verses down the octave? It'll sound more honest." You know what I mean? I was almost talking in the verses, and it's about her. And she was a great girl. Every time we saw it, she was in England. Every time we saw her in England, she'd always bring us something like chocolates or whatever. She was just great, you know. Bethany loved her, so did I. And anyway, he said, "Sing the verses down the octave," you know. So I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, that sounds more honest." Okay, I just said that. And I said, "Well, what? At the end, I'll go up to where I wrote the song, you know, into it's a high B actually. For those who know, you know, it was a high B. But in the verses, I was singing the low B, the octave of that. And so when the orchestra, I should say, crescendos, it just comes in perfectly, that high B, you know. It was just there, and that arrangement is just amazing. When I listened to it without any vocal or anything, I said, "Conrad, it's good like this." Put it on the album with no bloody vocal, you know. 'Cause I like the arrangement, and it's really, really good. And
Agreed.
I'm proud of that, because again, it's not this, is it? It's something complete. Yeah, it's divorced from that completely, you know. And I like to do that to surprise people, you know. And I like that song, but I still think, to me, I want to sing it up in the octave where I wrote it, you know. But it's worked the way it is because it is almost like speaking, you know. It's more honest, you know.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
At the end, I needed to do that thing, you know. And it's a good song.
It is. It's a great song, and it's got to be hard for you to warm up new material on tour when there are already so many expectations for what that live set list has to include.
Yeah, it's yeah, but we've got, I think, about 3 weeks to get it together. But we've been rehearsing, and my voice is warming up now, you know. But that's COVID thing really fucked everybody up. You know, we had 3 years off, or 4 years off, whatever the fuck it is, and it was horrible. You know, it was like, what do I do? What do I do? I'll vacuum. You know, you know, there's got to be something else to do. I've got to write a song, but we're not doing anything. But we did. Anyway, we made the album while that COVID thing was happening, and that gave me something to do. But it was now thinking about singing live is sort of frightening, because I'm always worried about, you know, getting sick or whatever the hell, or just getting croaky from no sleep. You know, when you don't sleep, you can't sing. You can't. Well, you can, but not very well. And I need to have the breath, you know. It all comes from the lungs. Yeah, it really does. Comes from here. And that's where the high notes come from. And the tuning of each note comes from here. So I always think now, okay, that note's coming up. Breathe really deeply. You're coming up to a C sharp, Graham. That's fucking high. Bloody hell. Okay. So breathe in and sing the fucking note. And it works, you know. So far the rehearsals are going well, but you know, we have a new drummer, and we're just kind of getting used to the arrangements. But it's going to be okay. Going to be okay, you know.
So is it safe to assume, of the new stuff, is it safe to assume Imposter will be in the set list?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to put that. That's one of my favorite songs. It really is.
You mentioned your guitarist, Conrad.
Yeah.
As history has shown, you don't work with guitarists who are simply okay or good. The people you've worked with are Richie Blackmore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Michael Schenker. I mean, you really attach yourself to the A-list of guitar playing.
Yeah, well, as I said, I've known Conrad for quite a while, and we split up when I did stuff I won't even talk about it. that wasn't happening. And to work with him again is fantastic because he's like a brother. He's staying here today because he's had a bit of a problem at home with his girlfriend. I think that's a bit of a drag for him, but he's staying with us right now. And he's okay. He's doing good.
Good.
But to work with him again and Bethany again, it was just like being at home again. And he's a great guitar player, very different. I think he's a little like Steve Vai. He's got that thing where he goes into, what the hell are you doing? What is that? Is that your guitar or something else? But his arrangements are good. When he sends me something, that's he said, okay, this is something I wrote, and it's always going in a different direction. Where you think it's going to go straight ahead, it turns to the right. You know what I mean? And that's what Steve Vai used to do, and I guess he still does. But it's something I really love that because it gives me something to work on and go, what can I do here? What can I do? It should do. Okay. Makes you think, keeps your brain working, which I'm worried about. Bloody hell. I'm 75 years old. When you're 75, you're supposed to be in a wheelchair and walking, walking around with a walking stick or something. But I'm not. And a lot of my friends who are singers have just said, can't do it anymore, But I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm lucky that I have the breathing apparatus I do and the muscles in the stomach. But I've had problems with a knee replacement and all that kind of crap, which is a problem for me. But it's okay now. I've had it fixed. But it's something I realized that, I'm getting old. And the bones are doing that, It's fucking shit.
Thinking of some of the names I mentioned, some of the guitarists you've worked with, there have been some combustible partnerships during your career. Do you think you were hard to work with back in the day, or were those dynamics simply young alpha males trying to make music together?
No, I was never hard to work with. I was drunk all the time, so that might be it.
that could create challenges, sure.
I'm an alcoholic, so I'm in AA and all that kind of shit now. But it's something that I think a lot of musicians are. They're all bloody. If you want to find a great band, go to an AA meeting. Is there anybody here plays bass? Oh yeah, mate. It's full of musicians and actors. So it's that unreal life we lead where you have to be all up and for the show. So you do that, and it's been difficult, but I'm not difficult to work with. I'll always say to who's ever producing or recording me, what do you think? No, you should do this, Graham. I will. I can change my mind by somebody saying to me, this would be better. At one point when I was younger, I probably said, no, then let me do it my way. But now I do it another way. But I think I'm doing the right thing by listening to others. And which in the past I probably didn't, Roger Glover was, he is a great producer and a great writer. And Roger would always say to me, take that song where you want to take it, because all the songs like, Since You've Been Gone, All Night Long, whatever, those songs you say, this is the basic idea. Now you do it your way, so you want to go to, change the tune, change the word or something, do that. And so that's what Roger would do. And he came up with great words because I wasn't writing words at the time, but I made up the melodies to the Down to Earth album. I was never, I wish I'd been, it should be Graham Bonnet on the songwriting, but I didn't do that. I was so green. I thought, this is just a great gig. Right. I'm going to sing these songs and go home and nothing's going to happen. But that didn't happen. I'd gone on tour for like months. Because I've never done that before. What? And Roger used to come in with a rough idea of the melody. He had all the words. He said, try this for the verse. Okay, I'll try that. And then this is the chorus. we do that. And then Richie would come in and say, yeah, I don't like the verse. The chorus is good. And so we changed it again. We did each song on that album probably 4 ways. Yeah, and it was hard work, but it taught me a lot, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
That I could write melodies, for instance.
Coming into Rainbow, like you said, you were green. Coming into Rainbow after Ronnie James Dio, was there a thought of trying to be as un-Dio as you could be, or was that Richie's perspective? Like, I want a guy who just it goes in a different direction.
Yeah, he was trying to make the band when I was younger looking, and because they were everyone that sort of image that Rainbow had was kind of old in a way, you know, the long hair and the stuff, you know. Richie still got the long hair, I know, but it's it didn't like my hair. Yeah, that's another thing. Oh, I get your hair. Look at this. This is fucking long for me. I've got to get my hair cut before we go on the road. Yeah, it was. What was the question again?
I just trying to.
I've lost. I'm just thinking about Richie. Sorry.
Just Rainbow trying to take things in a very different direction from where they had been with
Yeah.
Dio. I mean, even earlier when you were talking about singing stuff that you know, I mean, you weren't singing about broadswords and dragons or whatever Ronnie was singing about.
Yeah, I know. And when I heard the albums, because they were asked me to go and audition, I said to my manager, I was in England at the time, I got to get the album. So I got the Rainbow albums, and I said, it's not me. It sounds, it's completely alien to me, this way of singing. Mm-hmm. I don't sing like that. And anyway, I went to the audition thinking I was just going to do the audition and come home. And that didn't happen. They all, when I did it, I was standing in this big room in a fucking chateau in fucking France. In France. And they had everything was set up. The drums, everything. Fucking Marshall amps, the whole bit. And they started playing a song called Mistreated, which is a song I learned for the audition. And I thought, I'm going to screw this up. I better not use the microphone. I'll go and stand over there. So I did. So I walked away from the microphone, about 10 feet away or something. And they said, "Wait, what are you doing?" I said, well, just play it and I'll sing. And I sang it off microphone, and they all started laughing. And I thought, what the fuck? Was it that bad? and they said, "We can hear you," over the Marshall amps and all the rest of it. "We can hear you." And I said, "Well, I was singing. Why didn't you sing it on my, I didn't say, So I did it. They said, "Let's do it again." And I sang off microphone again. And they said, "Yes, we can fucking hear you. Bloody hell." And they said, now, Don Airy said to me, "Graham, see it on microphone this time." So I did, third time. And then they just, the job was mine. They said, yeah. And I was very surprised, because I was nowhere near like Ronnie Dio sings or any of those other so-called heavy metal guys, I don't, I didn't do all the,
right.
But I learned how to do it.
If you live long enough, Graham, you get to get the same record in multiple versions through the years.
My God, yeah.
But this album, Down to Earth, it became a defining work for you. I mean, you still play most of these songs live.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because the opening song on our thing now, we do that da-da-ding ding da-da-ding ding da-da-ding ding, because it's such a great opening song, and Lost in Hollywood. What else do we do? Yeah, we do Lost in Hollywood. God, bloody hell. I can't think at the moment. Well, obviously, Since You've Been Gone, even though that wasn't written by Rainbow.
Right.
But we do a couple of Rainbow songs in this program. But it's all mixed up because I've got Michael Schenker stuff on there and a bit of my solo stuff as well, you know. So it's a bit of everything, but there's like 2 or 3 songs of Rainbow. But the opening is from the Down to Earth album, you know. So we do that. It's just amazing, that song. You know, I love it.
A lot of people, you're in kind of an enviable position in that you have fans from throughout the decades, and they all have particular eras and periods and albums and songs that they like, and they may not agree with other Graham Bonnet fans. I mean, for me, my entry points were All Night Long, which I first heard on this, like, I think I got this as a cutout in the local record store, a live version of All Night Long. And then Jet to Jet from this album right here by Alcatrazz. Yeah. And I was telling you right before we started the interview proper, as a kid, as like a 12-year-old kid, one of the highlights of my music going life was scoring 3rd row tickets to Poplar Creek to see Alcatrazz open up for Nugent back in the day. And I mean, that was my first exposure to you in person. And you ooze charisma, Graham Bonnet. I remember that from seeing you as a young boy. Like, you are rock and roll charisma.
Oh, fuck. Well, thank you very much. I don't. It's a different person when you're on stage. You know that.
Yeah.
You're acting, and doing that thing, going on stage. You have to be the sort of evil, powerful, whatever. But I am evil and powerful. But I mean, you.
In summary, Graham Bonnet, we're going to see you in the area June 17th at the Arcada Theater. As mentioned, Day Out in Nowhere is an album that we Graham Bonnet fans have been waiting for. I mean, this is you in perfectly awesome form. You're still killing it at the tender age of 75. I love it.
Well, thank you. I'm very proud of the album. I'm very proud of the guys as well. You know, Bethany and Conrad held me up anyway. They just said, "Come on, Graham, you can do this." You know, as I said, I didn't know what I was going to do with my career, so to speak. But Bethany's been encouraging me for years, saying, you know, you should get the band together, so to speak. Sounds silly, but I mean, the songs, we took a lot of time over them, you know, writing them. And I took a lot of time thinking about the words and the story in the songs. You know, it sounds good. It sounds very modern. That's what I like about it. You know, there's no reverb on the voice and all that shit. I hate reverb on the voice, but once in a while, Conrad puts them in there. I go, what the fuck is that? But, you know, on the voice, on the main vocal, I hate reverb or any effects. It's got to be, you know, sound real. You know, and that's what I think we've achieved on this. And it's great to hear it. But I've never, ever said, oh, God, I like that album. I love that album. But on this, I do. I can listen to it again. You know, when you've done something, you do hours and hours and hours of the same freaking song. You go, I don't want to hear that bloody song again.
Right.
But I listen to this and I go, geez, that's pretty fucking good, you know. And the band played great. We all did a great job. And I'm very proud of them.